We are in the final quarter of the season, and it is at this point that we look at the Miami Dolphins making the playoffs or the Miami Dolphins getting a higher draft pick. What is up, Fin fans? I normally say football fans for my picks, but this week and probably for the next couple weeks, I am mostly talking to the Dolphin fans. If you aren't a Dolphin fan, I will still be picking all the games, but this is a good one for the Dolphin fans because I'm going to be telling you guys, as you can tell by the thumbnail, who we want to win and who we want to lose to help us either get a higher draft pick or into the playoffs, because now we're in the final stretch of the final four. If the Miami Dolphins win the next four, they go to 10-7. That necessarily doesn't mean they make the playoffs. They need a lot of help, and we will get into all of that good stuff. So first, the way this video is going to work is I'm just going to make my picks. I'm going to look at, each of the games. We're going to do our thing. I'm going to make the picks. And then I will show you per the New York Times, they have the whole percentage of how you can make the playoffs, yada, yada. What needs to happen for the Dolphins to make the playoffs? So it's a little bit of a two-parter here. Obviously, we're going to be making the picks and going through that stuff. But then after that, we will look at the draft order and the possibility of making the playoffs and how hard it is going to be. So without further ado, let's jump into this. Obviously, I'm going to be using Sleeper for my picks. Go check them out. Use the promo code DDW. You get 100% up to $100. And as you can see here, you get a free $20 entry for your first try. No deposit needed. So go check them out. Looking at my picks, I did booty cheeks last week, 8-6. I had the Ravens, I had the Browns, I had Washington. I don't know why I picked Washington. I honestly can't remember for the life of me why I picked Washington. I had Tampa, I had the Eagles, I had the Chiefs. So, if the better team would have won, except for probably the Ravens game, I would have had a better week, but I didn't. So we are now into this current week. God, I am sucking. Who's in the lead? Because I am not. I'm tied for 11th. Oh, I'm right in there. Look at that. I'm right in there. But I'm way behind. I'm about 6 behind from our top guys, who is Unscathed Mighty and Fins Up. Shout out to those guys. Let's jump into this. Tomorrow night's game. The Atlanta Falcons taking on Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is giving 4.5. Tampa Bay lost to the Saints. I am going with Tampa Bay. And if you want to move up in the draft, and if you think the Dolphins will lose on Monday Night Football, you're going to want the Atlanta Falcons to win this one. Will it happen? We will see, but that is one of them. Next, we have the Chicago Bears hosting the Cleveland Browns. Chicago. They played very hard against Green Bay. Caleb Williams looked good. He was making some ridiculous throws, but unfortunately, through the game-losing interception, they are 7.5-point favorites. I still take Chicago. Cleveland, though, does have a very good defense, so we'll see if they'll be able to subdue Caleb Williams and Chicago's offense, and can Shador continue his success. We want Cleveland to win if you want a higher draft pick. Then we have the rematch, which is the Baltimore Ravens taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, Baltimore is giving 1.5. Cincinnati, hard-fought game. Hard-fought game against the Buffalo Bills, but in the end, Buffalo ran away with it like they always do when they play these teams and struggle in the first half, and then the second half they run away with it, and Baltimore losing to the Steelers, I think that was a touchdown. I think likely caught the ball, got both feet down, but obviously there's rule changes and all that stuff, but I'm going with Baltimore in this one. I think they get revenge after that Thanksgiving night game, but it could go either way. And again, I'll talk about playoffs and who you want to win and lose. We'll get to that. Then we have Arizona going to Houston to take on the Texans. The Texans are giving 9.5. I'm going with Houston, who is red hot. red hot right now, playing fantastic football. They were opening at 7. They are now giving an extra 2.5 points. I could be closer, right? So that 10 points, you might want to go with Arizona. But I do not want, but Houston, I think, will win this game. And again, for draft situation, if you think the Dolphins are probably going to lose the next 4 and end up with 6 wins, you want to root for Arizona to win this one. Next, we have the New York Jets taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars in Jacksonville. The Jaguars are giving 12.5. I'm going with Jacksonville. Red hot, like another team, all the teams that I'm talking about. And who's quarterbacking for the Jets? And I think that's why the Jaguars started at 9.5 point favorites and they're now at 12.5. The Jets just aren't good. They are sitting right now at 3-10. They have 3 teams ahead of them that have 2 wins. And if they want any shot at getting a quarterback, they're most likely going to have to trade up. I think that the Raiders are going to get Mendoza. I think that's where he ends up, but we'll see. And again, if you want a higher draft pick, you want all these underdogs to win, like the Jets. That one ain't happening. Then you have a very good game. You have the Chargers taking on the Chiefs, and the Chiefs are favorited by 4.5. Now, Justin Herbert did not play a good game, but he made the plays he needed to help them win, but also it did help that Jalen Hurts played like crap and essentially threw the game for them, so that kind of did help Justin Herbert getting the W, even though it was more of his defense helping getting the W. And the Kansas City Chiefs, sitting there at the good old 1 game under 500. I will not say that number combination. I think the Chargers are down to their 3rd right tackle. So this is going to be a tough one. I'm going to go with the Chargers. I think they sweep Kansas City this year. And I think if Kansas City loses this one, they are officially out of the playoffs, which would bode well for Buffalo, which is the next game we're going to get to, which is the Bills heading to New England to take on the Patriots. And the Bills are 1.5 point favorites. I'm going with New England. I think the Patriots sweep the Bills. And I think it's because the Bills play bad teams. And don't get me wrong, New England that's all they're playing is bad teams. But honestly, I think that if they get down bad, like they did with Houston, and you do that with New England, I think New England will be able to score more, especially against the Bills' bad defense. So I'm going with New England. I'm surprised New England is an underdog in this one. Very interesting. Oh, just to piggyback off of what I said before with the Ravens and the Bengals, you want the Bengals to win if you want a higher draft pick, because the Bengals are sitting at 4-9. So again, if the Dolphins lose and the Bengals win, it helps the Dolphins potentially move up. Then you have the Commanders taking on the Giants. The Giants are a 2.5 point favorite. I'm actually going to take the Giants in this one. For some reason last week I picked the Commanders over Minnesota. That was a mistake. I think the Giants might win this one, which would give them 3 wins, which would help the Jets move up. Right now the Giants have the number 1 overall pick. I don't think they really care. They don't want a quarterback. They have Jackson Dart. So I think for them, it's more about winning and building that winning culture. So I think they win this game. But as a Jet fan, them winning this game and you losing to the Jaguars would help you potentially move up. We will talk about all that stuff after I make the picks. Then you have the Raiders taking on the Eagles. Eagles are going to win this one. Eagles should have beat the Chargers if it wasn't for the dumb turnovers that Jalen Hurts did. And, the Raiders are just bad. Raiders might end up with the 1st overall pick. And again, it's probably going to be Mendoza. But yeah, it's just a bad one. Bad one by the Eagles. I think they bounce back. 12.5. I would even do that. Really bad by them. Then you got the Green Bay Packers taking on the Denver Broncos. Green Bay is a 1.5 point favorite. This is an interesting one. And it's also interesting. You got Tom Grassi, Brandon Perna facing off against each other. They're probably going to live stream it together. This is interesting. Now, Denver's defense is really good. Offense, not so much. Bo Nix, up and down, up and down. Green Bay's defense, up and down, up and down. Kind of struggled a little bit against Caleb Williams and the Bears, but the offense was doing their thing, throwing nice touchdowns. This is a hard game to pick. I don't know which one I want to pick. I'm going Green Bay. I just have to. I gotta stick with my guns. Then you got the Carolina Panthers giving 3, taking on the Saints. I'm gonna take the Panthers in this one. Again, if you want to move up in the draft order, you would want the Saints to win, but the Saints could possibly win. They already beat the Panthers, so that's not out of the realm of possibility. Then, unfortunately for the Colts, you have them heading to Seattle, take on the Seahawks, or are now a 11.5 point favorite. The line opened up at 3.5, and then when we found out about Daniel Jones and then all this, the injuries to the quarterbacks, they signed Phillip Rivers. He's on the practice squad. Absolutely nuts. I'm going with Seattle. What they'll do is they'll stop Jonathan Taylor, and then whoever's quarterback in the Colts just be like, beat us. Really sucks how their season has turned around so crazily. It's not even really a word, but it just sucks, man, because they were hot and now they're not. So then you got the Houston Texans, who will probably go back to the number 1 overall pick, especially if the Giants win, taking on the 49ers. I'm going with the 49ers, but don't be surprised if if Tennessee makes this interesting. San Fran's given 12.5. So it's going to be interesting how that one pans out. Possibly the game of the week, besides the Bills and the Patriots, is Detroit and the Rams. Rams are giving 5.5. Detroit heading to the West Coast to take on the Rams. Who do I like in this one? Did beat Dallas 44-30. Detroit did. Rams coming back, to their old ways after losing to the Panthers, doing their thing, beating up on the Cardinals 45-17. I'm going to go with the Rams. I think they continue. I think it's going to be a good game, so that spread is fair, 5.5. But yeah, I'm going to go with that one. Then we have the Sunday night football game, the Minnesota Vikings taking on Dallas. Dallas is giving 6.5. Interesting. Dallas given 6.5 after losing to Detroit. Minnesota beating up on Washington. Oh, who shows up? JJ McCarthy, 9. The defense shows up. Dallas, who shows up? Dak Prescott playing well. I'm going to go with Dallas. in this one. And then finally, the Miami Dolphins heading to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. Steelers are giving 3. If you want to know my whole breakdown of this one, I will have a full preview on Friday. As of right now, the weather is going to be around 17 degrees. Only like 6 mile an hour winds, but it's going to be a cold one. So we will see how that all pans out. Now, let's get into some of the meat and potatoes. So let's really quickly look at Tankathon, looking at the draft. Now, if you guys remember before I was talking about who we want to lose, Miami Dolphins are sitting here at 6 and 7. They have a 4.84 strength of schedule. The lower you have your strength of schedule, you should win, meaning you get the higher draft pick. As you can see, Kansas City is 514, Baltimore 509, Dolphins 484. Head-to-head matchups mean nothing when it comes to draft picks. So if the Miami Dolphins end up losing and Minnesota wins, they would move up to 11. And then if these two teams win the next two and the Dolphins lose the next two, as you can see here, 502, 523, they would move up to 9. And if these teams here, what are they, 484? Yeah. If these 3 teams end up winning the next 3 and the Dolphins lose the next 3, they would move up to number 4. So again, you want to look at all the teams that are ahead of Miami and you want to root for them to win if you are the person or the fan that wants a higher draft pick. You want all of these teams in Minnesota, Cincinnati, Atlanta. They own the pick, not the Rams own the pick, but they are in charge of where it ends up. Arizona, Jets, Washington, New Orleans, and Cleveland. You want to see them start winning. Now, these top 3, I think you're just going to see it end up being the way it is. I think the Giants do end up winning this week, so that'll shoot them down here. And I think these 2 teams win. So you'll have Vegas 1. You'll have the Titans 2, And then at 5:32, you'll have the Giants drop all the way down to 6, and you'll have everyone shift up. So you have 1, 2, then 3, 4, 5, and then Giants. So Cleveland, you got to fight with the Raiders to get Mendoza or a quarterback. So that is draft pick status. Now we look over here at the Miami Dolphins with the potential of getting into the playoffs. Right now they have no shot. They have a 99% shot of being out. They have a 1% shot of getting a wild card. Now, obviously, the Miami Dolphins have to win out. So I'm just going to do this just to let you know, right? If they win out and I don't change anything else, the Miami Dolphins essentially have a 13% shot of making the playoffs. That's just by winning out. Now, certain things have to happen. Now, week 15, this one here, the New England Patriots have to win, and Seattle has to beat Indy. And if that happens, kind of bodes well for Miami. Then on week 16, Cleveland has to beat Buffalo. Will that happen? Probably not, but Cleveland has to beat Buffalo. And then week 17, Denver needs to beat the Chiefs. Jaguars need to beat the Colts. Eagles need to beat the Bills. And Houston Texans need to beat the Chargers. And as you can see right there, if all of those things happen, and again, Miami wins out, the shot of making the playoffs goes up drastically. And the only thing that needs to happen week 18 is the Dolphins need to win, and then Houston needs to beat the Colts. And if Houston beats the Colts, the Miami Dolphins make the playoffs. That's how it has to happen, essentially. So for this week, you want to root for New England to beat Buffalo and Seattle to beat Indy, and we will go from there as it moves on. But right now, that is kind of where you're looking, especially when it comes to the playoff picture. So you want, like I said, New England to beat Buffalo, knocking them down to 9-5. And you want Seattle to beat Indy, knocking them down to 9-5. 2 9-5 teams. We're looking at trying to get that 7th spot. So essentially, Houston would move up to 6 and Buffalo down to 7. Because we have the same record as them. So just got to keep winning, keep winning, keep winning. And then the next week, Cleveland needs to beat Buffalo. I don't think that happens. I think that's where the wheels fall off. And then the Chiefs would lose the following week, week 17. So you'd have the Chiefs losing to Denver. You'd have Indy losing to Jacksonville. You'd have Philly beating Buffalo. And you'd have Houston beating the Chargers, kind of knocking them all down. And then Houston beating Indy. Boop, Miami sneaks in. Here's the thing. That's a lot of ifs and buts and candies and nuts. Do I think it'll happen? No. Do I think Miami will beat the Pittsburgh Steelers on Monday Night Football? Find out on Monday. Miami loses one game, they are out of the playoffs. Plain and simple. Like, they could make it, but you would need more than what I just said, and it's a long shot. So you got to get to 10-7. Plain and simple. You have the 3 wild card teams are 9-4, 9-4, 8-5. You got to get to 10-7. It all starts with Monday Night Football. Obviously, Sunday, root against the Buffalo Bills and the Indianapolis Colts. Root against the Chiefs, the Ravens, the teams ahead of us. But like I gave you the breakdown this week, really focus on Buffalo losing to New England and Indy losing to Seattle. Well, we'll see. It don't matter if we don't beat the Steelers. So I will see you Friday, give you that preview and breakdown. And then I will be a little bit on hiatus because my son is born on Friday. So you'll get the video Friday. By the time you're probably watching it, hopefully, my son will be here. I think probably like 8, 9 o'clock he'll be born. And then Saturday, Sunday, I'm going to be taking care of my son. Then Monday, I'll be live. Other than that, I'll see you on Friday. If news breaks or I come up with an idea for a video, I'll see you tomorrow. Like usual, stay classy. Events up.